What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Brio Beardscape. What is the Brio Beardscape? It's a buzzer, it's a trimmer, it's a clipper, whatever you want to call it. It's a power-operated shaving device. I got the Brio Beardscape about a year ago when I first did an ad for them on my YouTube channel. And at the time, I talked about how it uses a ceramic blade, so it stays really sharp, even if you're not so great at lubricating it like they always tell you to. Lasts longer than stainless steel because it's smooth and low friction. It's adjustable, so whether I want to pre-shave my head before I bick it or I'm trimming the beard up, I can get the right length with the Beardscape. But here's what I didn't talk about, because at the time I didn't have the knowledge. I charged my Brio Beardscape exactly one time before I shot the original ad. That was 13 months ago. I still use my Brio Beardscape once a week on the original charge, and it still indicates I have 70 minutes of battery left, meaning you could potentially use this thing, and if you use it like I use it to trim up, you charge it once a year, so you're never going to bring it somewhere. It's got a life indicator on it, so you're never going to worry about it running out of juice when you need it. If you want one, go to brio4life.com. That's Brio, the number 4life.com, and use code SMOKING at checkout to get the best deal available. That's code SMOKING at checkout to get the best deal available on the Brio Beardscape. Brio4life.com. We are also brought to you by Beeline Coffee. I drink it every morning. I drink it some afternoons. I drink it before I do work. I drank it before I do this voiceover. It is delicious. It is a micro batch, small batch roasted coffee. The Roasted Tire 3.0 is our newest roast. It just came out. It is so good. It's medium body. It's a medium roast. It's got a lot of flavor. It's got a bunch of caffeine. I love it. I drink it all the time. I give it to all my friends. It makes a good stocking stuffer in the holidays, or for a gift for Mother's Day, Father's Day, for birthday. It's fantastic. I love my Beeline Coffee. Use code TST at beelinecoffee.com to get 15% off. Code TST gets you 15% off anything, big or small, at Beeline Coffee. All right, folks, this is the one. If you've clicked on the title, you already know where me and Zack crossed the 1,000,000-mile mark in the Lexus, ending a 4-year project in which we passed this bitch around like the village bicycle and put 103,000 miles on the car to crack 1,000,000 miles. So come join us from a remote road in the middle of North Florida as we do this one from the vehicle. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Checking your frame on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Oh, you're a little flat.
I'm a
little
sharp. Welcome to Florida, folks. This is what Florida looks like.
Sunny.
It's sunny. This is the Smoking Tire Podcast, coming to you live from the 999,928 mile Lexus. That's right. Today,
very close.
Today's the day, unless something catastrophic happens.
Like the road falls away, because we've already seen that today a couple of times.
Unless we drive into the Gulf of Mexico, we will be reaching 999,999 plus a guessed amount.
Well, we'll be reaching 1,000,000. It won't register because the digital odometer doesn't roll over. It doesn't have
it doesn't have
7 digits.
It doesn't have analog. It's digital.
My bank can't count this high.
It hasn't accounted. Lexus engineers accounted for everything except the possibility of the car lasting forever. By the way, random person in the back seat for those of you in the video version of this podcast, Dave Puppy Knuckles Burnett. Wave it. You have to do audio. Look at the wheels. Look, he's spinners. He's got spinners. That's cool. I swear that was like a Buick LeSabre from the 80s, early 80s. on actual
The
spinners.
spinners looked like 5 surfboards, like, you know, on a graphic in like you can see the perspective that gets smaller on the ends, and they were rocking and rolling while he was sitting at the gas station. You see some really interesting vehicles in Florida.
Yeah. And right now
Mostly
we are driving along the Gulf Coast at a very low rate of speed because we wanted to film ruin porn, which is what that looks like over there. We didn't really know.
We didn't want to. We should.
No, we didn't want to. We learned about it when we got here.
Yeah, we drove through Panama City. We needed to add some miles to our route, to our destination. It wasn't far enough away to click over 1 million. So we just said, oh, let's go down there to the ocean and just see what that's like. And we picked Panama City, Florida. And it turns out in October of 2018, they were hit with the largest storm on record. And trees were folded in half, and 60% of the houses had been knocked down. And it was a very sad place. It got
really
destroyed.
Bad. We were all, why can't we get a hotel room? Is it because of the spring break and the boobies and the girls gone wild?
Yeah.
And it was actually because of the exact opposite of that reason.
That row of spring break stuff looked untouched, though.
Yeah.
Which is an argument against that sin brings about bad weather.
Let he who sinneth casteth the hurricane onto the saintly a couple blocks up the road.
Let he with the Mardi Gras beads be ignored by the storm.
Let he with the titties out make it out of this one alive.
Let Saint Pedro Frog be ignored by the rain. For he bringeth the breasts.
For those who don't know what the fuck we are talking about, and I mean with the Lexus, not with the Jesus part. If you're just catching up for the last 4 years on what appears to be December 1st, 2014, which was my birthday, I bought myself a 1996 Lexus LS400 with 897,000 miles on it. I am the 6th owner of the vehicle, and I don't know what all the previous owners did, but most of them treated it like garbage.
So Matt started a diary for this, and then we loaned it to a lot of other journalists and then random people that wrote in it, which is cool. But
the Lexus log, if you will.
Your first entry is, bit of advice: do not ever send your friend a link to something dumb and cheap on his birthday unless you're prepared for him to buy it.
Yes. Rob Ferretti sent me the link to this car on my birthday, and then I bought it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Hannah, that's my fiance. She was my girlfriend at the time. It's like, Hannah, we have to take a trip to Florida. Why do we have to go to Florida? Because I bought a car I expected to be terrible, and we have to drive it 5 days home.
You bought it for $1,900, and you did drive it all the way across the United States home.
I did.
And then you got
5
inspected when
days.
you got here, and then it needed some stuff.
It needed many things.
Because this list of repairs is way too short.
No, I think, I don't even remember writing that. That was probably just the first repair.
It's not up to date. That's probably correct.
That's just the first repair.
Before you picked it up then. $1,500 car, $500 power steering rack and pump,
Yeah.
$380 for tires,
Yeah.
rear pads and labor, fluid change. Okay.
That was the first service. It's had many services. The thing is, the last owner that had it before me really treated it badly. Like, one of the owners put like 700,000 miles on it, and like that guy probably treated it really well. But the guy after him, or maybe even 2 guys after him, was like, how little money can I spend and still have this thing like limp around town?
Yeah.
So like the steering was like crazy sloppy and sketchy, and like the suspension was like falling apart. Like there was like no bushings left. There was like all this crazy shit. Like, yes, the engine is like never been opened, original, like it's like sealed, but like the gearbox was like kind of like missing. It wasn't missing shifts, but like that thing that it just did, it was doing that a lot worse.
When you come off throttle, it shimmies a little bit.
If you come off throttle aggressively, it does, yeah. But like it was also like it would go to 4th gear, but then it wouldn't go back down until you like came to a stop. Like it would stay in 4th gear.
Oh wow.
So it wouldn't like kick down. So I eventually had our friend Rick Radcliffe and take apart the gearbox to see if he could fix that. But when he took it apart, it was basically like the grime was holding it back together.
Oh my God.
Physically could not go back together. And so I had to have it professionally rebuilt, which was like $3,600. So that's like, the gearbox was by far the biggest single repair. And
You could have bought another LS400 and towed this with it, and maybe that one kicked down.
yeah, and I mean, I possibly could have bought a donor car at that point, you know, but
That would have been a good idea.
they were gonna, like, the place that I don't remember, it wasn't like an Amco, but it was basically like an Amco place that did it, and it was $3,600 to rebuild it, and they warrantied it for like 3 years or 75,000 miles. So, like, believe it or not, like, the actual transmission is under warranty right now.
That's amazing. It's incredible. The rest of it, not so much.
The rest of it, not so much. But then I also, like, I had to redo all the shocks and all the bushings again. And, you know, like, just stuff that if it was just us driving it, I probably could have skipped on. But, like, I was literally giving it to, like, people I'd never met before. And so if you're doing that, like, you have to, like, it can be kind of shanty, and still you have to, like, really make sure that you've made a proper, like, good faith effort.
Well, because when you started loading it out,
at least.
we started with, like, other journalists, dear friends, people that, like, if the car broke, they call us, they have a problem, like, we fixed it for them, you fixed it for them over the phone. But, like, when we thought the miles were going to click off a lot faster than they did.
Yeah, it turns out it's, like, really hard to put 100,000 miles on a car.
So
once your core group of, like, friends and people are actually done driving.
Once people are done road tripping, it was like, all right, who hits us up on Instagram that's willing to do something with it and drive it for thousands of miles?
Yeah, is that a bear? There's fucking bears here?
There's bears in Florida?
We're like 100 yards from the Gulf of Mexico. There's bears here?
I mean, there's bears in Miami, but...
I mean, I know there's... I'm going to say Cuban bears, but that's a different kind of thing.
This place is so dangerous. There's bears, like water moccasins.
There's all kinds of shit.
Clocks.
So yeah, I considered, like, putting it on Turo, and actually the Turo people were like 100% about it and followed up with me like multiple times.
Really?
Yeah. Like, putting it on Turo would have 100% been an option, except that right at that point, Anna and Anton, the adventure bloggers, whose Instagram I love, it's Adventureholics with an X. Anna and Anton took it for, like, what, 15,000 miles, like 4 months. And then when they brought it back, that's when I had to do the full suspension service, which was like $1,500, and I was like, want to hang myself. But then Robert M., I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but he knows who he is. Robert M. just did 10,000 miles, and he was the last person to take it. So, like,
well, I mean, also Turo in LA, people rent a car for a day or two.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be 5 miles, so it wouldn't be worth the headache of arranging it for that kind of mileage.
No, when two Bulgarians say, I would like to take for 15,000, I was like, yes. What is that? It's like a crazy crane thing.
That is a giant crane.
It's a giant crane.
To lift a house on the stilts. Like,
dude, y'all Floridians and y'all stilted houses down here.
You guys are bold. Very bold. You're just expecting a tidal wave.
So anyway, other than neglected maintenance, right? And look, you're going to do 1 million miles. The idea, it's crazy that this car hasn't had a major engine rebuild. But I think it's had 3 transmission rebuilds. I'm pretty sure I did it for the 3rd time. And then it's all like at 1 million miles, everything is a consumable. Like, alternators are consumables. You know what I mean? Like, and we learned at the very end, I don't know whose fault it was from the beginning, but this car has if it has any design flaws, and there's very, very few, if any, design flaws in this car, it's that the power steering pump is right above the alternator, and if the power steering pump begins to leak fluid for any reason, it leaks it onto the alternator, it kills them both, and therefore it kills the car. And so
that's why you wipe front to back.
Well, it's condos. And so that became an issue because the power steering pump in this car doesn't use power steering fluid. It uses automatic transmission fluid, which is weird, and this is not the only car I've heard of doing that, but that's what happens. And if you put power steering fluid in it, which someone who is mechanically inclined but doesn't know any better would probably do,
which is totally understandable,
totally reasonable thing to do.
Oh, I'm sorry, you put gasoline in your gas tank?
Yeah.
That's the problem, sir.
That's your problem right there. You're supposed to put
ATF in there.
Rubbing alcohol in there. That's what this car runs on. So anyway, that happened a couple of times, and it killed a couple of pairs of power steering pumps and alternators.
What do you say? Like, it eats the seals?
Yeah, the power steering pump fluid eats through the seals, and then it leaks all over the alternator. And then, like, you get a call from the shop, and you go, well, the reason the car died is because the alternator shit out. But I took the alternator off, and I literally was able to drain oil out of it. Like, It was like holding oil. So
that's some weird, like, rubber synthetic error where, like, that, you know, the power steering fluid interacted with that and dried it out. But whatever. So you bought it with like 9,987 or something.
I bought it with, what, 897,000.
897.
Yeah.
And we just picked it up in Atlanta, and it was at
999.8. No, it was like 999,450 or something.
We needed 500 miles.
Oh wait,
or 600 miles.
No, was that correct? That was correct.
Yeah, 319.
It was bare left. I did bare left. Is that correct?
I think bare left was good.
All right, north 319.
Yep.
Okay,
that's
cool.
correct.
We're going to Sop Choppy. Is that really where we're going? Sop Choppy? What a great name for a place.
Sop Choppy.
Sop Choppy. So anyway, right now, shout out to to Robert, who took really good care of this thing while he did his 10K in it. But like, I actually think that when we picked it up in Atlanta, it might be in like the best shape it's ever been in, like right now, pretty much.
This car is amazing. Like, I've said it a couple times while on this drive that I love this car. I only did a little bit. I drove it to Colorado in a day for a wedding and back the next day. So
I love how LA to Colorado and back is only a little bit.
Well, but I only did that. That's the only time I ever drove the car.
True.
But I think ergonomically it's perfect. It's amazing. It's incredible that cars can't get it right. Like, the armrest height is good. Your front visibility is amazing because they didn't care about pedestrians back then. The wheel position's great. It's a really good car. And it rides great.
It's still like, hang on, I'm gonna make this pass. Even with 999,939 miles on it, it's still like reasonably quiet.
Yep.
I mean, the window seals aren't great, and that's partially because they're old, and partially because this car has some real shanty peeling, like Florida tint on it. And I think that the bad tint is worse than the window seals, but frankly, I don't care.
But I mean, we're having a conversation at normal volume.
Yeah.
And it moves the air around the car well. I think they had some of the design language was meant to do that. Like, it has the little fins right by the headlights.
Yeah.
It seems like it's meant for aero and like channel the air around the car. I could also be totally wrong. Who knows?
You could be making that up.
I'm making that up. But it's a weird thing to see on a car. It's like, why would it be there?
Let's see. Things that work. Climate control works. Power, sunroof, windows, doors, locks, all work. The power seatbelt adjusters work.
The 6-disc changer that's in the second glove box works.
Tape deck only plays out of one side for some reason.
True.
But the AM, FM radio, and CD player work.
The power antenna does not really work.
No, but it does still get signal.
It's just not up.
Yeah. But after how many warnings from car wash operators that it was going to like get broken off, in 100,000 miles it hasn't got broken off.
Hasn't moved? Wow.
No,
It's very durable. All the windows work.
Steering is reasonably tight.
It is really reasonably tight.
Oh my! There goes my phone on the floor.
Reel it in.
Reel that in.
You got a big one.
The ride is pretty good, although the Arsha does sag.
Well, we have 3 people in it with suitcases, camera gear. Like, it definitely is taking.
There's some Arsha sag.
There's some tools, and we have a lot of extra fluid in the trunk, just in case. Because we're eating a third of a quart every 300 miles or something like that.
Yeah, so it doesn't really burn oil in the sense that like, no, it doesn't burn oil.
You're right. No.
Because like the rings aren't bad and like the valves aren't bad. Like it's not, oil is not going into the combustion chamber and being burned. However, oil is being leaked from a few different places. One of which I think is the valve covers, which leaks it onto the headers, and then it goes, and then it smells like oil.
Yeah, so for the life of this car with us, we've gone, oh, it's eating this much oil per this many miles. It must be burning it. And then last night, we're stopped on the side of the highway, and we noticed there's very light smoke coming out the front of the car. In the headlight, it smells like oil. And that's when Matt figured out, oh, the oil we're losing is not burning out the car, out the engine, it's burning on the engine.
Yes, it's burning from the exhaust, but the outside of the exhaust, the exterior of the exhaust.
It's being recycled before it goes to the atmosphere.
Yeah, so you basically have to add a half a quart of oil every other gas tank.
Which is not
that
it's
bad.
Really not that bad
actually.
For how many miles are on it.
It's really not. And like, you could take off the valve covers. Like, it's really leaking from three places. Like,
Just three, okay.
Just three.
Right.
The left valve cover, the right valve cover,
okay,
and the rear main seal.
That's the bad one.
That's the bad one. But that's the problem, is I was not, like, I'm usually dumb enough with this kind of stuff to know that I don't know better. Like, I'm usually dumb enough to be like, tell me everything it needs now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when they did the gearbox, they were like, there's some area. They told me that there were some areas that we could save costs. They didn't really specify what those areas were. Mm-hmm. One of them, as it fucking turns out, was by not replacing the rear main seal when you put the gearbox back on. By reusing the old, shitty, already leaking rear main seal.
Because that's the hardest seal to get to.
Yeah, whereas for like $18 while the thing was already out, that could have been totally not a problem.
You think they could have done it with the engine in? It's not an engine out situation?
You have to take the gearbox out.
It was already out.
Yeah, you have to disconnect the gearbox to do it.
That sucks.
And then once it was done, well, I was like, well, who gives a shit now?
Yeah.
You know, and so the only real problem in terms of actual issues with the car is the oil leak that if you leave it parked in your driveway or garage will make a mess. And I should actually, when I calculate the total cost of this silly project, should I calculate an entirely new garage floor? Because do you remember what my garage floor looked like before I got this car?
Cleaner than the floor mats
and
of
what
this
it
car.
looks like fucking now? My garage is fucked because of this car. My whole garage. It's been parked in every space, and it's leaked oil all over the floor.
But now you know where the center is on the 4 spots in the car. It's like a tennis ball, but it's just from the bottom.
I found the center.
Right.
I have to get a whole new garage floor, though.
The worst thing about this car is just that everything on the inside you don't want to touch. Like this steering wheel cover that's on here now was not on there when I drove it
to
Colorado.
What a weird place to sell shit. You people go by at 60.
There's probably like blood on the floor here. There's coffee.
I really want to do but don't want to do. Maybe I'll ask Freddie to do it. Is the fucking luminol and UV light.
Oh yeah,
that'll be grime.
It'll just be right. It'll just be white.
Like, I'm gonna burn these clothes when we get home.
It's gonna be like Jay-Z white party. It's just gonna be bright white. But it's kind of clean right here.
On the when I first bought the car and just drove it home with just me and Hannah and like backpacks, like we expected for sure that it would break down, something would happen, and I made a deal with Hannah, like she would come with me to do this, but like she had to be home by a certain day because like her mom was coming, and if it broke down, I would buy her a plane ticket home from anywhere we were. But it didn't break down. It was no issues. And then after the first service, and I really got it running really nice, I got like 24.5 miles a gallon in it. We just recorded 22 yesterday, full of like, we're probably approaching like gross vehicle weight max.
And we did a lot of stop and go because we did a lot of photo stuff. We avoided main highways on this last trip because we wanted to see some more interesting terrain. So we haven't been on like a 6-lane highway. We've been on like 2-lane. Yeah, freeway in Florida is very boring.
Yeah. Extremely terrible. So I think I believe that in terms of maintenance and repair costs, it cost me around $16,000 to do 100,000 miles in this car, which I think is not that bad. Like, if I think about how much it would cost to do that in a lot of other used cars. I mean,
that's a good point.
A lot of, like, maybe not
true.
like a perfectly maintained, like, used Civic or something. Like,
but you probably have to buy that car for 6 to 14.
Yeah. Considering this car is worth exactly what I paid for it now, you know what I mean? The net loss of the car purchase is 0.
100,000 miles is a lot.
Trap City right here.
Most cars need a huge service at 100, like even a Civic does. There's a lot of like oil and checkups at 60. Yeah, wow. I don't think that's actually that big a loss. That's crazy.
You still are going to have to do like bushings and tires.
They'll break on
shocks,
everything.
like, and most parts for this car are not out of control expensive. Most of the parts are pretty reasonable. There's only been a couple parts where I was like, oh, come on, really? Like,
well, someone also drove this up Mount Washington, right? Did they do it on the dirt section? Or
yeah, they drove it. Anna and Anton did.
But isn't that dirt still?
I don't know. Maybe.
I thought
we
that's
should
the
listen
rally
to the
course
Mount Washington CD.
I'll find it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it probably is dirt.
It's the Mount Washington hill climb.
Yeah.
Climb to the clouds.
I think it is dirt.
So that's not good for bushings. If you did new bushings and shocks and drove it in Florida where the roads are super smooth, it would probably be good for several 100,000 more miles.
Well, remember when I bought it, which it was from Florida.
Yeah.
When I bought it, there was spreaders in the coils. So the suspension, all LS400s, they all look like the ass is kind of sagging all the time, and that's actually normal, which sort of is one of my least favorite things about the cars. But I don't know if because the springs and shocks were completely dead or because the guy before me wanted to change how it looks, but he actually put spreaders in the coils, which held the coil spring open and raised the ride height like 3 inches, but like you had like half a shock. And
That's not
it made
good.
the rear end drive
That's not a good
super,
thing.
super weird.
Hot Rod Power Tour.
Oh yeah, the two guys from Lexus, these two Lexus engineers. Zack's looking through the Lexus logbook. These two Lexus engineers did a bunch of maintenance on the car. I think they put a new distributor, alternator. I think they did a bunch of service, but then they took it on the Hot Rod Power Tour. The Hot Rod Power Tour stickers still
There
right here.
are some great entries in this. Rest stop advice. Just because the bathroom is very quiet, it doesn't mean you're alone. Matt commented, I think this is one of the guys in the Power Tour.
No, yeah, Matt, I think both their names were Matt, actually.
Matt commented that the stall walls are low for a glory hole situation. Being in the men's room, I commented, what, with another guy? And then there was another voice, we ain't gonna find out neither. Minutes after the rest stop, they get pulled over for 84 in an 80 zone. A cop in Texas thought they were smuggling drugs. They said, if you're smuggling drugs, you don't put hashtags on your car.
It's a good point.
You got a warning.
It's a totally good point. I got pulled over for a driving while black in California. I had the windows up because these are dark Florida-ass tints, and I got pulled over in LA, and the police officer, as soon as I rolled the window down, was shocked to see that I looked like me. And I asked what the problem. He said my tints were dark, and I said, oh, I just bought the car out of Florida. And he said, Florida, did you say? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right. And then that was it. Walked back to his car, have a good day.
But see, I got a ticket for tint in Utah, and I told him that the car's from Florida where tint is legal on the windows, and he said, nah, that's nice. And he gave me a citation because he knew I wasn't going to go back to Utah to fight it.
But we should mention that I got pulled over last night in this car.
We did.
I haven't been pulled over in years, like 4 years probably since I've gotten pulled over. And I got pulled over last night for allegedly doing 81 and a 65 in this car in the middle of Georgia.
I'm trying to find, what year did the Adventureholics have this car?
Very recently. That would be the second to last entry.
People have some creative spacing. Oh, maybe it's this giant thing. Let's talk about the engineering behind this thing. Like, why is it so good?
So in the 1980s, Lexus decided to throw a ton of money and a ton of resources at building literally the best vehicle in the world. And they put what I believe was, I think it was over $1 billion at the time, which was the most money ever invested into a new vehicle. They really wanted to establish themselves in the marketplace with something spectacular. They had, all these crazy benchmarks, and they had their production ethos with quality and how the factories would work, and the stuff that was really enviable by the Americans. And they pretty much just came out swinging. And my father had one of these things, a 92, when it was new, and it was extraordinary. I mean, there was nothing like it on the road. It's kind of hard to picture at the moment, but like even something as simple as like the center stack, or like these gauges, which I think are like fiber optics. They're not LEDs, but it's sort of a backlit, ghosted, almost invisible gauge cluster. Like that was some super futury shit in 1990. And the you may not know it now from this old one, but when these things were brand new, they were basically silent. There was no engine noise, there was no wind noise, there was no road noise. Like it was silent, almost in the way that like like a Tesla is silent today.
Was this the campaign with the champagne?
The champagne glass.
So they had for most of you, they had a champagne glass pyramid on the trunk, and they just had the car on the hood, and the car just ran, and nothing fell over.
They put it on an incline dyno, took it up to 140 miles an hour.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Because part of what makes this engine so good is that some of the tech, and I read this off Wikipedia like years ago, but basically like they took some of the research they had done on building IndyCar engines using, I think, more silica in the aluminum, and when it heats up, it's like a little bit slicker than an engine with less silica. So that's part of why it's such a smooth engine, is there's less friction. If there's less friction, there's less wear on the rings and all those kinds of things, and that's probably why the engine's never been opened, and we're not burning a ton of oil, with blow-by and whatnot.
Yeah, and also this, being the sort of pinnacle of Toyota overbuiltness. You think about the 2JZ was being built at basically the same time as this, and durability was paramount. I mean, even a Camry of this period is likely to still be on the road.
Yeah. Most Japanese cars, like late 80s into early 90s, they spent tons of money on R&D because the economy was doing so well. While in America, we were building like town cars and just doing lots of cocaine. America was like, we have all this money, let's do cocaine and keep driving a K car. And Japan was like, what if we apply this to science?
What if we do some science here?
What if we get on the right? They did not make an entry about Mount Washington, so I don't know if it was paved or not, but I believe that's where they still do the hill climb with Pastrana and all that stuff. So if this drove up a dirt road for 3 miles, no wonder it shook apart.
I don't know if it translates to the video, but they see that little bit of vibration there on acceleration. That's pretty much like the only that, and if you jump off the gas quick, are your only vibrations. The rest of that. So anyway, we were talking about overbuilt engines. Imagine an overbuilt engine that also has the luxury of never really having to work very hard. I mean, not most LS400s. It's not like it's fun to beat on an LS400. Like it's not.
No, it weighs 40,000 pounds.
It's not like you're going to go and kick the shit out of one. So most of these engines have spent their life at under 3,000 RPM, probably even under 2,000 RPM. And so if they're taken care of, they'll just go. Even if they're not taken care of,
they'll still go. Like most Japanese cars at the time. Lee Keen left a good comment. The dipstick insertion is the smoothest thing I've ever felt. Lee Keen,
Lee left that?
Yeah. GT driver, hot shoe on proving grounds, all around very good at sliding cars. Follow his Instagram. He's annoying.
The dipstick insertion. It is very smooth dipstick.
That was that was the last entry.
That was
like
because he had it. Lee had it for like a couple weeks. He drove it around a little bit. I get a lot of emails from folks that are asking me about, are these good cars to own? This one, look, you shouldn't buy one that has 800K on it. You're asking for it. But, like, if you buy a well-cared-for one that's got 100K on it and you spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, you're getting, like, an awesome car. Yeah, you're getting an awesome, awesome car.
I would have bought one of these instead of the Crown Vic, but it couldn't hold all.
What are you doing?
So much room.
Oh, my God. There's 100 feet between you and the car in front of you.
People, they like space here.
I hate people that do that. The stop. Look. If I look, can you see in the camera? Oh my God! The late blinker left with the main license plate.
From me.
I mean, he's driving a Discovery, so his life's bad enough. I really shouldn't. But
he didn't drive here from me. He got stuck down here 10 years ago on a trip, waiting to go back. Yeah, if I could have fit all the camera gear, I would have rather bought this because the seats are more ergonomic. It's better for your spine. It's a smoother, quieter car. All those things.
Oh, here we go. Ready? Line it up. Line it up for the pass. Listen, the 1UZ is really purring along right now.
People are starting to swap them into cars for like track cars and drift stuff.
Remember I drove the Miata that had the 1UZ in it?
How was that? That's great.
Yeah, it was great. It was.
The 1UZ is a little taller than an LS, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, because it's overhead cam, right? But it fits in a Miata.
That's pretty.
That was down in Texas. Remember the dude? We did the Continental Tire thing. It was a 1UZ with a Supra manual gearbox. Remember when it was like freezing cold and raining in Texas?
Oh, at Highland Race thing?
Harris Hill.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
good engines. Good engines. And
look, Polish dinner. This tonight.
Just out in the middle of the woods.
Just right in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, you'll come back from that.
Just have a pierogi. Pierogies are filled with human.
Yeah, when they serve it to you, they stare at you to make sure you swallow it because there's something in it.
Other things that are not good. The headlights on this thing are pretty fucked. They're roughly beyond fixing.
iPhone flashlights are brighter.
You have to drive with the brights on, and no one else on the road has a problem with that because that's how dim they are. And they're not really pointed properly.
So I just found an entry that said it left this person stranded. So that was the only time it happened was alternator. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, alternator.
That's Robbie Moe.
Oh, well he was the second to last person to have it, and he put a lot of miles on it, and he was the one who discovered the power steering fluid, or the power steering versus automatic transmission fluid. And when he texted me that, I was like, no fucking way.
Unlike the condoms in the door panel, this car is not a Rough Rider. I drove it from Maurice, Indiana, back to Indianapolis. Jared Hinderer.
I have no idea who that is.
I don't know who put the condoms in there either.
I don't know. Who thought they was fucking in this thing? Who
how many couples did we give this car to?
Oh, that's true. The Bulgarians definitely had sex in this vehicle.
Yeah.
Right back where Dave was.
I had sex in your Focus.
Did you?
Yep.
Good for you.
And now it's gone, so I can tell you.
And now it's gone.
Well, kind of half out of it. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, that would be news to podcast people. The guy I sold the Focus to sold it. Right? He dipped out on it immediately. Because he traded his Hellcat and the Focus for a Trackhawk. Which, if you think about it, Hellcat plus Focus RS equals Trackhawk. So that works.
Maybe you can tell me if these people drove together, because this entry is December 8th, 2018. I farted like really bad. I am gas, I am trance, Lance Bass, help, Mr. Regular. The next entry says, smells like the Chicago Red Line train at 3 a.m. Maybe it's me, and that's from, I can't even read that, but it's not the Roman.
Donnie
Davis? Donnie Dolio?
I don't know who Donnie is.
What else did Mr. Regular write?
Mr. Regular drove this car in December of 18.
My dick looks like Harry Dean Stanton's face. There are mice in my ass.
Oh, man. It's I mean, that's a glorious entry. That's really what I was looking for out of.
Yeah, that's what you expect from him. It's got to be a scatological reference. Where are we at here? 40 miles to go.
9.
At least we're going to do it before.
60. 40 miles to go, people.
It won't get dark, thankfully. We were worried because...
It smells like feces in here now.
That's he just probably made a smelly page.
Is that a scratch and sniff page?
Yeah. If there was anything Mr. Regular would sell as a brand, that would be it.
This is flat.
We
we have oncoming?
We do have oncoming with no headlights on.
With no headlights. That's okay. Plenty of room.
They're going very
Is that
slow.
like a vintage dually? It is. No, it's not vintage.
No, it looked like it had rust on the roof.
Didn't it look vintage?
It did.
I could have sworn it did.
States visited 41. People did some
Who was
serious
that?
stuff.
Who went to 41?
The Adventureholics, 17,000 miles, but 41
17,000 miles they went?
Yeah, 17,641.
I think I've only done about 6. I think I've probably done about 6. But Adventureholics don't have a bad spine. Putting 100,000 miles on what is fundamentally a 6th car.
Well, yeah.
It's like a job.
Yeah, when you got it, you thought it would click off quick, and then you're like, oh, wait, I have other cars, and press cars, and traveling, and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
You can't have enough friends to knock it down quick. Cam Vanderhort.
That's a great name. I think, in order to make this show not 40 minutes of boring, that we should say goodbye to them and come back in about 30 miles.
The magic of television?
The magic of television.
Okay. We're back.
We're fucking back, buddy! We are continuing in the middle of nowhere. And for those of you watching the video, you might notice a change. Tracking odometer 99983. Odo check. And I had to use a little bit of a funny angle on the odometer because Dave in the back shooting long lens
Needs to capture the moment
for
a
road
still
and track.
camera.
It's kind of like we're gonna like I think we're gonna hit it like 17 miles. We don't have another turn for 25 miles, so it's going down on this backwoods road.
It looks the same out the front as it did if you were watching before, so you're not missing anything.
I think, I don't know what people... I know people road trips, but, I don't know if people took care of the car, when they had it, or if they beat the crap out of it, or what they did. What's that?
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay, this has a 6 CD changer, and yesterday we listened to all of them.
All 6.
And then we just found, no joke, found 2 more, cassettes? How do you even describe these? Multi-CD holders?
That's what we get
magazine?
for not looking in the glove box beforehand.
Wow, we could have listened to...
What CDs? We still have time. Just because this drive doesn't end.
For many of you watching, this is how they used to let you listen to multiple different artists in a car without changing the CD. It was like a fancy thing, and you just put them all in a deck, usually in a place that's less convenient, like under a seat.
Actually, at the time, in-dash CD was the shit.
In-dash or in glove
box? That's in-dash.
This is in-dash?
Yeah,
this is good.
In glove box CD changer, with in-dash controller, yeah.
All right, we have Queen, Greatest Hits.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
We got Def Leppard Vault. We should have listened to this cassette if we knew it existed. Harvey Danger.
Flagpole Sitta. The Harvey Danger.
I don't even know what any of the words are.
You know that song. Are we going to get royalties? No.
Not for you.
I'm not sick, but I'm not well.
Oh, that's
It's so hot because I'm in hell, yeah.
Okay, I thought that was Cake.
No, that's Going the Distance.
We got Metallica with Enter Sandman, Sabbath True, Holier Than Thou. All right,
what? The Black Album?
Yep, Black Album.
We had all these.
Damn it!
We had all these albums. Fuck.
We had Led Zeppelin. This is the best cassette. Why? I'll go through what we listened to before. We got both Led Zeppelins. Okay.
99986.
Everyone now uses Spotify and stuff. We have this, and you shove all these in here, and then you shove them in the face of the second glove box. It says 2.
Yeah, we got dueling glove boxes. I hope we've made a righteous editorial decision to switch to odometer at this point in the game.
I think it was a good idea.
Yeah?
People can watch with bated breath. We'll shrink that one.
99986. 99986. Update. 99986. We're not used to saying that many digits out loud. That becomes a challenge.
Well, you're having fun with it.
It's confusing for Germans.
9. Yeah. No. 86.
A lot of people went on a lot of adventures in this car.
John Klein, he said in his entry that the radiator stopped working in Texas, but it was so cold it didn't matter.
Really?
Yep.
Did he fix it?
he just wrote it didn't matter, so I don't know if they fixed it or not.
I might have fixed the radiator leak at some point. I can't recall. At home, I do have like all the records. I actually did keep the maintenance record, or at least our maintenance records.
But
I don't know. Have we even talked about yet what we're doing? Like, we're taking why we are here.
We have not. Why are we in Florida? Why are we going to Florida?
So we're in Florida because our friend Freddie Hernandez, aka Tavarish, I think it's Tavarish and not Tavarish, but whatever the fuck, you know what I'm talking about. We were thinking about what to do with the car for it, its next phase of life, and without an odometer, it's like there's no point to go to 2 million, really. I mean, if someone really wanted to do that, I guess they could. But like, it was like bring a trailer charity auction, or like give it to, somebody, donate it to charity, or give it to like have like a contest to give it away. But either way, Freddie said that he wanted to see how much power this engine could still make with a minimum of effort. And that sounded interesting. But more importantly, he said that if he blew up the engine, which I find likely, I don't know about you, but I think it's likely he blows up the engine, that he would make me an engine block coffee table with it, and I like the sound of that very much.
Well, and he also, to try to blow it up, he's going to turbo it.
Yeah, that's what he was going to do.
Are we letting him do that? Well, we are.
We are. We're giving him a car. We can say what he's going to do with it.
It'd be very interesting to see, like, what, because I've never seen in casual looking at the internet like a turbocharged or blown 1UZ. I'm sure someone's done it. I'm sure we'll get links in the comments and whatnot. But it's just like, it's not a swapped engine. It's not a frequently modified engine. So it'd be interesting to see what the engine could do with forced induction.
Well, yeah, and I don't think he plans on changing the gaskets.
Oh no, he's not gonna change anything.
Yeah,
it'll see what it'll do as is until it pops, probably.
I think it's 999990.
No.
We have 5 nines in a row with a 0 after it.
This is cool.
Now I'm excited. I wasn't excited until right now.
Until 9.
I just got excited.
At 8-9, you were like, yeah.
999 and 990 is where we're at.
That's an easier way to say it.
999. I almost sound like an auctioneer doing that, don't I? 999.
You are just filling the time now. Like an auctioneer.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, one of the common themes in all the entries was the car feels like it has a tenth the miles it has on it. So if you're looking to buy a used big sedan, you should definitely check these out. It's amazing.
I can't back that up because I've never driven a 100,000 mile.
It feels like 0, I bet.
I can remember, the one that I had back in the day, which was like 50,000 miles.
Oncoming?
Yeah. And
this truck
imagine I head-oned it fucking 10 miles from a million.
It'd be bad for a lot of reasons. Most important would we almost actually that car would strap over us. This is a low hood.
It would be like a yump.
It would be a yump. Other things I'm glad that still work in this car. The recirc versus fresh air, because now we're not breathing as much
just keeps the Ebola in.
That's true.
I've done 3 cabin filters in this car.
Really?
I actually have. Yeah.
It's such an easy change in most cars, and it's not expensive, and you wouldn't believe how it changes your life.
You have to do a cabin. If you haven't done one of those activated charcoal like cabin filters, you should do that.
I've done 2 in my car, which I've only had for 20,000 miles, and they're $11, and it takes 5 minutes to switch it out.
I did them in the Focus RS twice because the fucking AC kept making the mildew smell. Don't know why.
Well, I did have sex in that car, so
that's probably why.
A little bit.
Was it like the Model T in fucking Titanic when it got all steamy?
No.
I don't think that was a Model T. That was probably something doper than that, but...
The window?
Yeah, the handprint and the car does feel a little AIDS-y, I'm not gonna lie.
This car?
Yeah, it's a little AIDS-y.
Dude, the floor by you, I mean, there's like food and stuff on it. I asked him earlier.
We were like ashing on the floor and like eating on the floor. Yeah, like
I asked you, would you rather eat food dropped outside on the tarmac or dropped in here? And you said at least the tarmac gets rained on once in a while. And I think it's a completely good answer.
Although I peed before, so 99992.
8 miles.
To 8 miles.
This is really amazing.
I did have the interior like professionally detailed once, but it was like
this section.
I mean, it was like I don't know. It was like 3 fucking years ago, maybe. It was a long time ago.
It's there's some cracks in this wood, which is covered in lacquer, but
it's not that bad.
It's not.
It doesn't rattle. Like the only like rattling shit I hear is from the tint, like this crappy tint material. I hear like flapping around sometimes.
Well, so something that I've talked to Patrick Stevenson a lot about. He did Motor Affair. He built those cool gold keys for Matt's car, his Porsche. Is when my car breaks, he's like, well, look, you bought a car that was like $60,000 at the time, so you have to deal with $60,000 worth of car maintenance. But this, when it came out, was how much money? Like, way more expensive.
This car wasn't that expensive.
More expensive than an M3? Well, with inflation.
Yeah.
How much was this car when it came out?
This car was like $45,000, brand new in '96.
But how much is
an M3 was like 52.
No, I was comparing 02 M3 price in 2002 money.
Still more.
Still more?
Yeah, still more.
How is this that cheap?
That's the thing. That's the thing. These were like just over half the money of an S-Class when they were new.
And this would absolutely outlast an S-Class. And probably have less rattles and stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's S-Classes from '96 still around, for sure. But this was like a proper marvel at the time because fundamentally it is as nice as an S-Class.
Yeah.
And yet it was cheaper. Half the money. And yet, despite being half the money, it seems to be not... I mean, I remember my dad's 92 was 42,000 in 1992, and they got up to like 45 or so for this, which was like a 96. They were cheap. They're still like 60% of the cost. The brand new LS.
Oh yeah.
Is still like 80, 85.
Well, because the new S-Class now is
120.
Yeah. Plus options, a lot of money.
They're still way cheaper. 6 miles to the finish line.
No squeak, no rattle. These seats aren't even torn.
Look, 6 miles to 1,000,000, and I'm gonna go flat, drop a gear,
pop,
just past that bro truck.
Imagine if it just clunked right.
If it did,
go to neutral and just coast.
I would try and coast. It's like we're slightly downhill, 5-mile coast.
But that would count.
We're getting
it's about the engine making it to 1,000,000. It's not about the car, right? Like if that guy towed us 5 more miles, it wouldn't really count. It would be 5 shy.
Yeah, and a lot of people tried to come up with ways for me to cheat at this game. So let me just, in the last couple of miles before we allegedly are to reach our goal, if she holds on, a lot of people came up with ways for me to cheat at this game. You don't make up a game and then cheat at it.
No.
That's just dumb. Like put it on a dyno for 24 hours or whatever. Like,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
You wouldn't feel good about it.
No.
I wouldn't feel good about it.
How crazy is it that I bought a shitbox and then was like, yeah, we could put 103,000 miles on that fucking thing. And then we just did.
You were so excited when you got the idea. You were so stoked.
How long did I think it was going to take? Like 18 months or something?
Yeah, we could go back.
I thought it was going to take like 18 months. I didn't think 4 years.
3 years in, you're like, ooh, we may have been
also, so I bought the car in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii. Freddie sent it to me on Craigslist. I was on my first vacation with Anna ever. And I bought it on our first trip together. Now we're about to do this, and in like a month, Anna and I are getting married. So that's good. That's a thing.
That is good.
Not a month, 2 months. But still, this car basically spans most of our relationship.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, it continues.
She's actually mildly bummed that it's going to be in Florida. She actually wants it at the wedding. So, like, I don't know who's going to drive it there.
Well, or if it'll be working at that point. Actually, it will.
It might be.
Freddie
can have a turbo in it by April 20th.
No, he's
fucking rip that thing up 95.
He's ripping apart
99997. 3 miles.
Pop your champagne. That's a very dead
and how appropriate is it that it happens like... You said yesterday that this happens like in the middle of nowhere. Like, sometimes if you have a car that's like a beater, you would be concerned about driving it in the middle of nowhere, and you would make plans. Like, we have no plans.
You wouldn't. Well, yeah. What I was saying yesterday is we took really rural highways, which we would not do in a car that was strangely modified or a beater because you wouldn't feel comfortable getting off a main highway where there's no cell service here. There wasn't. Where, there's no tow trucks around. But with this car, it's always been so reliable.
2 miles. 2 miles, baby.
Other than alternators.
Now what we need to do is we're gonna have to reset the trip because it's gonna go to 99999, and we have to switch it over and then count a mile, right, to get to 1 million because it's digital odometer and it stops at 99999, and then we're still gonna have to count one more.
That's true.
To actually do it, you can't.
Yeah,
we can't do 999,999
and then stop. No,
full million.
You have to do full million.
Full million. We're almost there.
Oh.
Now I'm actually excited. I wasn't even excited like 5 minutes ago, and now I'm excited. 99999. There it is. We're getting close, buddy.
Very close.
4 years. 4 years. Okay, trip.
$16,000.
0.8.
Well, that's
when we get to 1.8.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no. Here, I'll just count it off. There. We're gonna be a tenth over 1 million. I'm sorry.
That's not. We have to stop at 1 million exactly, and then get helicoptered out. That was the deal, right?
Then they come for us, and then they take this and they leave the rolls, and then we do the rest of the way in the rolls.
That's exactly right. Dude, we're super close.
We are fucking close.
Well done.
To actually having 1 million miles on this vehicle. Can I shout out to whoever at Road and Track bought that Miata that had like 350,000 on it? They were like, we're gonna put 1 million. It's like, nah.
No. They're gonna have to make it electric because it'll still be going like whenever it converts.
3/10 of a mile. 2/10 of a mile. Are we coming to a full stop?
No. Well,
at 1 million?
No. You got to run through the finish line.
Roll through it.
You sprint through the finish line.
Roll through it. Boom!
Hey!
There it is.
Longest smoking tire project ever.
That's actually it. That is 1 million miles.
1 million?
For the LS400. And now I feel a sigh of relief. The car has made it.
Yeah.
The car made it. Original engine. Never opened. 1 million miles. That is
amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
We actually did a thing. We set a goal, and that was very ambitious. Is that the road, or did we just get blown up? Okay. No.
What? Oh, God.
No, either that was the road, or we just got like a blowout.
Dude, how many different drivers roughly drove this thing? Like 20, 30?
It must have been 50. It must have been 50.
50 people.
Like, and who knows how many people, like if one dude took it for a month, he probably let a few other people drive it, right? So, like,
yeah.
Who knows? Oh, my God.
That's amazing.
1 million miles. And it's like, is it appropriate that it's sort of anticlimactic? Like,
yes.
As we just, like, the odometer kind of stops, we just keep going. Is that appropriate for this vehicle?
100%. This vehicle's job is to just keep going. That's all it does.
Totally.
It hasn't stopped in 4 years with, well, no, it's not true. It broke with very minor things, from minor things.
Yeah. But, like, if you wanted to, like, you could flip a bitch right now and head for LA, and I would have all the confidence that you would make it there.
Absolutely. Because now the power steering doesn't leak anymore.
No, it doesn't.
So it would just go. The next time it breaks will be the transmission goes again.
Probably.
Well, if Freddie wasn't turbo again.
Yeah.
I think it would go forever. You
Wow.
just keep changing bushings. Maybe change the valve cover gaskets.
We actually did a thing.
Yeah. Hey.
Clapman. Burnett, you were here for that.
You were here for it.
His pictures are dope. Wait till you see the pictures. He's been in the back working on his laptop. Like, the pictures are going to be awesome. Story coming out on Road and Track.
Good
photos, and that's the thing.
That's the thing.
We made up a game and then didn't cheat at it for 4 years, and now we have what could be the world's most historically significant Lexus LS400.
The most significant and insignificant Lexus, because the Lexus policy was like, yeah, that's what they do.
Should we mention that Lexus's PR team didn't care at all until today when they called me? Today! They called me today! 4 years! We've been hashtagging million mile Lexus. They called me today. What can we do to work together? Ah!
Well, I bet any of the engineers that knew about it were like, yeah, duh.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
no
the
big
thing.
deal. Yeah.
That's just the thing that it does.
Really, really impressively engineered car. Really well built car.
We should just sell a shirt that just says 9999999 on it. That's just that.
It's just all nines.
Yeah.
And 56 people would buy it.
56 people would buy it. All right. That's the
buddy.
Smoking Tire Podcast. Buy our t-shirts at Blip Shift.
Yes, please
Not
do
many
that.
of you brought our last one. Hopefully you like our next one better. It's the exact opposite of this car. It's
Oh, yeah. The next shirt is...
bad cars make for good stories. Good cars also make for good stories.
It just takes
I think
way longer.
It just takes,
way longer.
It takes 4 years. Yeah, I have a dozen stories about the Countach. I've had it for a month.
Yes,
There's no
that's-
stories about this car because it just keeps going.
That's a perfect display.
What happened? I got in it, and then I drove it, and then I was where I needed to be.
For 1 million miles, it got where I wanted to be.
Oh, man. All right.
Awesome.
We're going to go see Freddie in Florida. Bye.